All right, y'all. Happy Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
Happy Thanksgiving to y'all. David Huck's here. We got Seth, Dave Schwartz, fan of SC.
The full gang today.
I know. We got the full lineup. Y'all, happy Thanksgiving. It is, Seth, always a holiday favorite, a treat.
My favorite holiday.
Well, I'm an Easter guy myself.
Right, you're a Happy New Year guy.
Easter's great.
New Year's
Thanksgiving's got really good food. So does Easter. More ham at Easter.
But you know, are you heading out of town? What are you doing?
I'm going to the greater Bayboro area, not the downtown city limits, but the greater metropolitan Bayboro area, to be with family and.
Now, is that a suburb of Loris?
It's actually its own great huge city. And Loris is a suburb of Bayboro.
Okay, got you.
Ketchup Town, Cool Spring, Bayboro.
Okay.
These big cities, Dorner Swamp. These are the major Horry County.
Well, hey.
I hang out in the big cities. I like to hang out.
Those are your people, man.
My peeps, man.
Yeah, no, I'm sticking around here, Mount Pleasant. I know you're gonna be in Greenville.
Me in Greenville, family.
But anyway, happy Thanksgiving, y'all. We got a lot to discuss. A lot happening over the last week. But let's get off, Seth. A lot of talk about our budget and our state taxes next year.
Yep.
And to give everybody just a real quick 10-second primer, we pay the highest income tax rate in the entire southeast of the United States. Our sales tax in some places, David, and I know in your neck of the woods, Myrtle Beach and Charleston, yeah, it is higher sales tax than New York City.
Bayboro has higher sales tax than New York City.
Okay, the fees that we pay, Seth. I mean, when it's our property, when it comes to our cars, we pay outlandish amounts of fees. These politicians at the state nickel and dime the heck out of us.
And not to mention the gas tax.
Right, and we're not even talking about the gas tax, which we will in a second. But bottom line here, y'all, we pay a lot in taxes. And we pay so much that last month, a bunch of bureaucrats got together in Columbia and said, we're projecting that y'all, the taxpayers, are going to send the politicians, send us to Columbia $2 billion more.
With a B.
With a B, than what they need and what they ask for. Now, the politicians, of course, they call that a surplus. And that's a very nice word. But all that it really means is that
they overcharge us.
We sent way too much money there. And so now you're starting, we talked about that, David, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it's been talked about, it's been discussed. But at the end of the day, we're now starting to hear from these politicians about tax cuts.
Right. Tax reform.
Tax reform. Right. And I think it's important that we talk about this because we want tax cuts. They overcharged us. They need to send us our money back. $1.8 billion or whatever, $2 billion, whatever it ends up being, we're going to send them more. We're going to send more money to the State House than they asked for or that they need. They need to send us that money back.
It's basically like $370 per person. Or per
adult. I mean,
it's a sizable amount of money they took out of your pocket.
It's a lot of money, and they overcharged us, and they need to send it back. But instead of just saying, okay, you know what, y'all, we overcharged you, we're going to send the money back, they keep coming up with these words.
Yeah.
These schemes, these scams.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's called tax reform or tax swaps.
Revenue neutral.
Or revenue neutral plans.
What does revenue neutral mean?
That means...
Is that neither
female
it's
not a tax
male?
cut.
Yeah. I got you. All right, I got you. I wasn't sure.
It's binary.
Okay, got you.
No, revenue neutral.
Don't assume my revenue.
Right. What the revenue neutral really means to these politicians is that they keep collecting the same amount of money. They just shift the shell game around. So somebody's going to pay more, somebody's going to pay less.
But
the government,
losers, essentially.
right?
The government never gets less.
That's right. The politicians keep the same amount of coming in. So that's not good for us.
No, that's not a tax cut. It's unacceptable.
That's right. So what we want to be clear, and we want to make sure y'all are clear when you talk to your politicians, is that we want an across-the-board tax cut.
Yep.
One where we get to keep more of our money and the politicians have less to waste in Columbia, right? So we don't care necessarily what that looks like, but as Seth said, we have been overcharged by a lot, hundreds of dollars, if not thousands in some cases. we want the money back, and we want them to have less in the State House.
And I think, too, it's important to note that when we say we want a tax cut, it's because, sure, they could just take the $1.8 billion, get a rebate check going, and send it back to people. We want going forward, because they also overcharged us last year.
Right.
So going forward, they need to be taking less money because they're already overcharging us. So they don't need the extra $2 billion. They won't need it next year, the year after that, or the year after that. Cut our taxes from here on out.
Well, again, I've heard Henry McMaster, the governor, come out and say that he's for tax cuts.
Right.
And at least to Henry's credit, he was specific. He says he wants to cut the income tax by 1% off the top, 7 down to 6. And like I said, we pay the highest in the Southeast. Now, that wouldn't change that distinction. We would still be the highest in the Southeast. But hey, at least he was specific to throw out a proposal.
Right.
The legislators, on the other hand, Seth, they have been all over the map.
Yep.
They talk about, again, these buzzwords that don't be confused, y'all. When they say tax reform or revenue neutral, or they're going to swap this one for that one, and we're going to make the code fairer and flatter, whatever other buzzwords or schemes they got cooking, it doesn't mean the same as what you and I think it means.
Right.
And we got to be clear when we start communicating with them, starting now, and demanding these across-the-board tax cuts. What we mean is that we keep more of our income, the money that we've earned, and they get less.
Exactly.
And I think that's the key. So, again, you're going to hear a lot of buzzwords and a lot of, we agree with you.
And it's not that you can't go to your politician and say, well, I save money under your plan. And they'll say, of course you'll save some money. Everybody needs to be paying less across the board.
Yeah, they need less money.
Exactly.
Because when they get more money, David, bad things happen. And
bad things happen.
We're learning that the hard way with the gas tax hike.
Well, yeah, they actually use the excess of money against the resident base at large.
Yeah.
Folks, hear this. This accounting parlor trick language they use, that's just language. When they get extra revenue, they actually leverage the revenue for their buddies against the average resident. That's what they do. We cannot overcash the state government.
Yeah.
It's a problem for us.
So the latest, the nerve.org, y'all, great watchdog there in Columbia, great investigative journalism. They came out with their latest monthly report on what SCDOT is doing with our gas tax dollars. And David, once again...
Hold on. They're paving our roads. Is that what they're doing?
All the roads are fixed, right?
No. We're seeing the failure right before our very eyes.
Right.
Where, once again, $500 million, Seth, is just sitting, rotting away in their bank accounts. They're not using it. And I think it was something like 16 counties haven't seen a nickel of the new gas tax hike.
Wow.
And then another 24 counties have seen less than 25% of their identified needs be met. So once again, as these monthly reports come out, and every month we're going to make sure y'all know about them, but the nerve.org, Rick Bendrette, the reporter there, did a great job of analyzing, taking a look at all these spreadsheets and breaking them down. Very easy for all of us to see. Bottom line, David, is they are not using the money like they said they would. They are lying about this gas tax. They've been lying since the beginning. And our roads, I mean, you don't have to drive very far to see that our roads aren't getting fixed.
Right.
They're hoarding that money there.
Right, they are. And then, we get a lot of complaints about Highway 544.
I was just going to tell you, I mean,
it's
in
the
Horry
pothole
County,
highway. It's the pothole highway.
And Seth, we talked about it this week. I mean, everybody's got their road or their bridge that they love to talk about. I mean, here in Mount Pleasant, it's Long Point Road. I mean, that road is the connector between North Mount Pleasant and Interstate 526, and it is just, I mean, it's like driving on the moon.
Right.
544, we were on a couple of weeks ago when we were up in Coastal Carolina. I mean, that's like pothole city.
It is.
Seth, I mean, I know up
Bridges
your way.
Road or Highway 25, 276, I mean, the list goes on and on.
I mean, in Highway 25, I mean, we hear about that literally every week, at least once a week.
I actually did a video from there, I guess, about 2 months ago now. I mean, it's absolutely, it's embarrassing. These roads are embarrassing. They're unsafe. They are a disgrace. And it's not like we're not paying the money to fix them.
Yeah.
That's the most frustrating thing. Every time I fill up my tank of gas, I get more and more mad knowing that this money, if the politicians have their way, won't go to fix my road, but it'll go to build a pet project for them. They'll make them rich.
Or sit in a bank account.
Yep.
I mean, good
Well, that's why it's in
Lord.
the bank account. They want to keep it and spend it on those pet projects. It just makes my blood boil.
And so if y'all are sitting at home and you want to take action, basically what we have to do is we have to hold our state legislators and the governor accountable. They're the ones that ultimately control the South Carolina Department of Transportation, David. The governor, your state rep, your state senator, those three politicians that represent you, those are the ones that appoint and control SCDOT. Those are the ones that we have to hold accountable, and you can do that right now sitting at home. Text the word pothole, POTHOLE, to the number 52886, pothole to 52886 on your cell phone. And Seth, we know it works.
Yep.
We have to be consistent. We have to be, we can't take no for an answer from these politicians.
Exactly.
But I know y'all had a great example in the upstate, Steve Hudson, group of activists out there in Piedmont. Their bridge was doing nothing. There was shut down.
It's been out for over a year.
Yeah.
It's been out for over a year. They did what we're told to do. They went to the DOT and they said, well, when's my road going to get fixed? And they got kicked around, tossed around from person to person, until finally they took action and texted pothole to 52886, took their focus away from the middleman at DOT and put it on their state legislators. Now, it's not easy. It didn't take just one email or one phone call or one Facebook Live video from it. But thanks to the pressure from Steve Hudson, from Phyllis Johnson, and other folks in the community, the SCDOT is beginning work on that bridge.
Yes.
Now, to put that in context, a year is too long to wait. But at the beginning of this, when Steve was talking to a DOT bureaucrat, he was told that a bridge in Clemson took 19 years. And so he should feel that if anything happens sooner than that, he's lucky.
You're fortunate.
Yeah, you're fortunate that it's not going to take 19 years. No. So around this state, maybe you have a bridge that's out or about to fall apart like in Walnut Grove Road over in Spartanburg. Like, guys, it takes pressure not once, not twice, not three times, but constantly to get these guys to do the right thing.
Applied to the right source.
Applied to the right, yes.
Not just pressure on DOT, because that doesn't work.
Exactly. DOT is a middleman. I'm glad you said that, because SCDOT is just a middleman in all this. They do what they're told to do by these politicians, but ultimately pressure on the governor, your state representative, and your state senator. That's who controls. Those three politicians are the ones that control SCDOT. That's where the pressure needs to be applied, and you can do that right now. You can text the word pothole to the number 52886 on your cell phone, and that will send a direct message to your state legislators and to the governor, the very folks that control SCDOT.
Right.
That will send them a message about your specific road.
And be specific.
And demanding answers about when it will get fixed. And David, going back to Highway 544 in Horry County. Meanwhile, that road is crumbling. It is literally falling apart.
Correct.
A very busy road, State Road 544.
It's the main way into Surfside, Garden City, Pawleys Island.
Right.
Guys, it connects to 378, which connects to I-20. It's the main way in to the south end of the South Strand.
So that road is crumbling.
Falling apart.
But thank goodness that the Horry County politicians and the state legislators are focused on a road that is completely unnecessary and that most of the population or residents of Horry County don't want, and that's Interstate 73, a pet project that we have been talking about for years. This continues to be a hot debate in Horry County and around the state. Give us the latest on what happened at the county level in Horry County.
So, the reason it's so contentious is because the city of Myrtle Beach has demanded negotiations
the politicians in Myrtle Beach.
Secret.
Yeah.
The city of Myrtle Beach's politicians want it to be secret. Here's why. A guy named Mike Battle, you might have heard of him, he represents the city. He wants to make it a class action suit without a class action. Why? A class action suit gives him 30% of the revenue. This is a $60 million lawsuit. He can get up to $7 million. Number two, I talked with a county councilman, who I'm not going to name, but he said, you're going to hate this thing. Here's why. In the past, this thing sunsetted in 2017, this hospitality agreement. It was not put as a referendum. A guy named Mark Lazarus, one of my good, close, personal friends, that's sarcasm.
Hey, Mark.
Mark Lazarus, he extended it indefinitely.
Illegally,
with no referendum, which all the cities were fine with Mark doing it. We got him unelected. the new chairman said, hey, some of this money should be going towards county needs, fire, rescue, police. Well, the city sued. Then they said, oh, this thing's out of date, it's illegal. Well, now the cities have this agreement. Here's what they want. They want up to $7 million of the past monies going to Mike Battle's group, the law firm.
So the lawyers are going to make out
Make
on
a
this no
killing.
matter what. They're making millions of dollars.
But moving forward, the county collected the monies in the past, and they looked at how the monies were dispersed. About 2/3 of the monies were collected in the cities. Yeah. 1/3 was collected in Loris, Conway, Aner, Socastee, country folks.
Right.
So here's what the cities have come back with Myrtle Beach has come back with, really. It's the city of Myrtle Beach. We'll let you collect all the money, okay? And we want you to send 70% of the money to us because it's collected here. Right. Makes sense to me. We'll do with that money as we please. Also makes sense to me. You can keep 1/3. By the way, you're actually collecting 1/3 in the county. And all of the money you collect has to go to pay for I-73.
And we're still talking about the illegal money.
Yeah. Illegal. So the referendum is never been had. The law has sunsetted. Mm-hmm. The cities already passed their own tax, and they're already collecting these funds in their own cities now. Why are we still talking about this legislation? Well, let it die. Pay them their past monies. Let the legislation die. We don't need I-73. We don't need this legislation. We don't.
And Seth, this matters
yes.
to everybody
Absolutely.
in the state. And again, if you're watching from the upstate area, this matters for you because what's happening on the local level is going to parlay itself into the state level. What the county, what Horry County is trying to do, in all, for all intents and purposes, they're trying to take this local sales tax that is illegal.
It's illegal because it's sunsetted.
Right. They're trying to take this illegal sales tax, Seth, and basically show the state money, the state politicians in Columbia and say, hey, look, we've already gotten a third of the way there.
We have some funding for I-73. We just need your help with
That's right. And this is for, again, this whole project, this whole Interstate 73 deal, this is a pet project. This is a classic definition of pet project. It is an unnecessary road. David, not once has anybody ever shown us or the public that Interstate 73 will actually reduce traffic locally.
It won't.
It won't.
It will not. Won't help Carolina Forest, won't help Conway, will not reduce the traffic on 501 because it's largely local.
Nor. So it won't reduce traffic, nor will it make evacuations any safer.
No, but here's what it will do. We're building a road that's not really an interstate. It currently runs to the county line. We have no way of getting it beyond the county line. It will create a large amount of new development out in western Horry County, number one, which will make the roads worse. Number two, we're building a road to a town, primarily, Myrtle Beach, the city of Myrtle Beach, that fewer and fewer tourists want to go to. Right. Let me tell you what they're doing. They're taking 378 to 501 briefly to 544 to Surfside Garden City Polly's, or they're taking 501 to a road called 22, which is a future subdivision, and they're going to North Myrtle Beach. Right. However, for no money, we could make 9 a better road. We could extend it either to 74 or 95, which it connects to. Man, that's no money.
Well, it's not no money, but it's money
Very
that was
little.
already
It's
been.
not 1.8 to 2.4 billion dollars.
Right.
Number two.
These are roads that already need to be
exactly
fixed.
Why is
they're already on the priority list?
Why is 378, which runs straight from Columbia, from 20 to right to 501, why has it not been 4-lane, guys?
Yeah.
The money's there. Yeah. The money's been approved. The reason it's not been 4-lane is because Russell Fry, Alan Clemens, Luke Rankin want to have a road to complain about.
Yep.
Yeah.
We don't have enough roads. You can't get here. Fix 378. You funded it. You've approved it. Go ahead and 4-lane it.
And again, this matters statewide because
They
the
can't do
bulk
it
of the
without-
cost is going to come from state taxpayers. It's going to be debt that we will have to pay back. It will be laundered through Corrupt Hugh Leatherman Slush Fund, the State Infrastructure Bank.
Well, it's
and
less
we will
money to
have to
fix
pay
your
it back
roads.
with interest, and it's less money to fix y'all's roads. That's
And
right.
they're going to find some way to get their hands on some of this gas tax
all
money.
Oh, they're
all
trying.
They're
for
going to do it, guys. They're going to
all
do it.
for an unnecessary pet project, right? All for an unnecessary interstate that
Well,
nobody
county
needs or
residents
wants.
don't
Let's
want.
be clear here, though. The unnecessary pet project interstate is the window dressing. What these guys, the whole reason they're pushing for this is because they're going to get filthy rich
That's
off
going
of
to
it.
make money on our
And
backs.
Horry County residents are going to pay for 90% of this road. If
Yeah.
you live in Carolina Forest, you're buying this road.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you live in Ainer, you're buying this road.
Yeah.
If you live in Loris, you're buying this road. Hey, if you live in Bayboro, you're paying for this
Hey,
road.
and if it actually gets built, if you live in Greenville, you're going to be paying for the road.
Yeah.
If you live anywhere in South
but
Carolina,
if you live in the city of Myrtle Beach, you're not paying for this
Right.
road, and it runs to your daggum rundown town.
Yeah.
I would use the word that Donald Trump used about some countries, but I won't use that S word. Your town. It runs straight to your town. You should be buying this road.
All right, so staying a little bit of local here, some good news, because we're here for Thanksgiving.
yeah, right.
Coming up tomorrow. Some good news. There was as you put it, a resident revolution
There
in
was there was.
Surfside Beach, which is a town just south of Myrtle Beach. They had an election this past November, or this month, a couple weeks ago. They had a runoff election, and every single chamber bot, every single crony politician was tossed out, and we've got some new blood in there that
We do.
they ran on a platform, David, that was pro-resident, sounded pretty good. Give us the details. What's happening and what happened and what's next?
Well, it happened. It really started happening when William Bailey and Johnny Gardner got elected.
Last year.
Last year.
Yeah.
Residents went, we've had enough of this. We're tired of being legislated by one or two or three groups,
Right.
PACs, the
The
Chamber
elites,
PAC,
right.
the Coastal Carolina Association of Realty PAC, and a handful of business owners. We want more say in government. Well, the Surfside Beach residents rose up and put three resident-minded politicians in there. I think Paul Holder is also resident-minded. He's a fourth guy that won. And here's the deal. The residents are getting very active in their communities, and they want more say.
Right.
No longer do they vote for who the mailers from the chamber
Right.
or the CCAR.
And a lot of money was thrown in on
Oh,
this.
that's
Oh,
right? I mean,
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
These guys were outspent 5, 6, 7 to 1
Right, yeah.
minimum, and they all used their own money.
Right.
The candidates that won were all self-financed. So they didn't take the money from the chamber. They didn't take the money from
Right.
CCAR.
Right.
They didn't also want their mailers. The mailers usually come to you like this. People who really care about local, are citizens for da-da-da-da-da. They never say, brought to you by the Myrtle Beach Area
Yeah,
Chamber
right,
of
right.
Commerce.
Right.
So all the mailers were mailed. Some of them were mailed with my business's Myrtle Beach SC's name on them, as if I mailed them.
And this
Those-
is just
those
a
were
little.
lies.
All this it's a little bitty town in it. I mean, Surfside City has how many?
3,000 residents.
So think about that. 3,000. This is so important to them.
Yeah.
It's not about the 3,000 residents, right? It's
No.
about maintaining that control
it's
we're talking
about control,
Yep.
because they do a lot of. The Surfside Beach does a big tourist business.
Right.
In fact, I don't know if you guys know what RevPAR is. RevPAR is what you can collect for a room. RevPAR in Surfside Beach is probably 3-4 times what it is in the city of Myrtle Beach. Higher rates, longer stay customers. They have fewer rooms, but when you look at the overall stay, length of stay, 6 nights, 7 nights, and the overall RevPAR, Surfside Beach is tiny it compared to Myrtle Beach
Yeah.
on a per room basis.
Okay.
So, those revenues are very important to the cabal, and I call them the cabal because that's what they are. So they're trying to control the way the businesses work. They lost that control. And the residents are going to have more say in how their local government runs.
Yeah.
Everybody won. And let me say this. I talked to a business owner this morning who owns a car dealership, very upset that these quote-unquote candidates won
Right.
because Mark Lazarus had told him that we needed the
Right.
pro-friendly business.
Right,
friendly.
right, right.
Well, these guys are pro-friendly. What's good for local residents is good for business.
Yep.
What's good for local residents is good for tourism. Let's get off of this anti-business nonsense.
Well, hold on. I got to chime in because we've talked about this before, Seth. Like this whole quote pro-business.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
At
I don't.
the expense of is what they mean.
Right.
They
And-
don't mean pro-business. They mean
right.
business in contrast or above and beyond local residents.
And in the state of South Carolina, what pro-business really means
Yeah,
is,
cronyism.
basically a handful of,
Yep.
powerful politicians and
A
business
handful
executives,
a handful
right,
of business executives
make all the money, and I'm not going to go all
working
Bernie.
together like this.
Well,
Yeah.
they pick winners and losers, right? I mean, that's the classic crony capitalism model. Is you have a big business, you make nice with your politicians, they then pass laws that benefit your business, and you grow even more. I mean, it's classic cronyism.
Well, but let's not go all Bernie Sanders here, because that's not who we are. Obviously, we're
we,
the
we
opposite.
just talked about cutting taxes. We are
Yeah,
far from Bernie.
right.
I think
But-
what's called collusion, guys,
Yeah.
is called collusion, is having favorites, is government having business
Yep.
favorites. Government should be blind about business. They should regulate business, not get in bed with it.
Yep.
We're only talking about a handful of businesses here, guys. We're not talking about the business
Right.
community. We're talking about Mark Lazarus and Matthew Britton, and I'll name them all.
Well,
Benji
but-
Hardy,
but-
a handful of these guys.
and that's but I'm talking too at the state level, right?
Do the same thing.
When the state, when these,
What's the
when they talk,
Panthers owner's name?
right? Yeah,
Let's
David-
build him a
the
stadium.
liberal billionaire David
Yeah.
Tepper.
Yeah, let's build him a
But-
stadium.
But no, that's right, and that's really what it comes down to. When these politicians or these lobbyists talk about pro-business, what they're really saying is pro people who get money
Right.
out of government
Exactly.
contracts. I mean,
Yeah.
ultimately, that is what the whole Carolina Panthers thing was about.
Right,
Was
right.
one billionaire,
Right.
one liberal billionaire, getting all of these benefits
Yep.
from the taxpayers.
Yep.
That is what is pro-business in these
their mind.
politicians'
And that's not
mind.
business.
No.
And that is not what was ever
No.
pro-business ever.
Well, the whole thing
Because that
is
kills the little guy, kills
Exactly.
the small business.
you're killing
kills it.
competition.
And it
Yeah.
kills the
You're shutting
strength
it
of
out.
a community when you choke out all the
Exact-
small businesses.
Yes.
These are people that I call the fog. These are the friends of government.
Yep.
These are a handful of businesses that are the friends of government. Make no mistake about it. They get all the tax subsidies. They get all the federal, the state ordinances written for them.
Yes.
And finally, procurement. Many of these people are getting the procurement payments, like Mr. Benji Hardy. When state procures money to build a road, he gets the cash. They're all friends of government.
Yep.
They
Well-
are not business people.
Well, and you look at the state levels. You got Boeing.
Yep.
You got Volvo,
Yep.
right? And Volvo, for goodness sake,
That's
first of all,
ridiculous.
a communist Chinese-owned car
Yep.
company. They tell everybody, oh, well, we're Swedish, but no, they're owned by a communist Chinese businessman. Okay, look it up. Geely, Geely. They own Volvo, and here we are. All of our South Carolina politicians, they bent over backwards
Yep.
to roll out
Tripping
the
over
red
themselves.
carpet. $250 million in subsidies directly from us, South Carolina taxpayers, just so this company
Yep.
graces us with their presence here in the
Right,
Low Country.
right.
That is what these politicians mean by pro-business.
Yep.
And that may be good for the communist Chinese, billionaire that owns them. It may be good for some of their executives. Heck, it may even be good, I'm not going to lie, for, 1,000 of their employees, the people that they hire. But for the millions of South Carolinians that have to pay to subsidize them to be here,
Yep.
it benefits us in no way.
It's a bad deal.
And that is exactly, it happens not only in Surfside Beach and in Horry County and in Myrtle Beach, but it happens all over the state, Seth. And we hear about it all the time from these Republicans that we're pro-business and we need to be more pro-business. No, we need to be more pro-taxpayer. We need to
Exactly.
be more pro-resident.
Well,
and if we take care of the residents and South Carolinians, then the small businesses, all businesses will flourish.
I want to add this to those fog, that friends of government. In Horry County, the residents are going to have more say, and we will have two things. We're going to have capitalism, something you guys oppose, by the way,
Yeah.
and we're going to have democracy. The residents are going to speak. This crony colluded nonsense that you call business, it's over.
Yeah.
In Horry County, we're going to have two things. We're going to have democracy. We're going to have residents voting, not just your buddies going to the polls with low voter turnout. We're going to have residents voting, and we're going to have capitalism. You don't know what capitalism is. We're going to teach you what
They hate
capitalism.
competition.
That's
They
the
hate
point I was gonna make.
competition.
And when people say you gotta be pro-business, I'm pro-business every time I go spend one of my hard-earned money at a business, right?
Yep.
Because they competed for my business and I gave it to them. That is being pro-business. But your point, these guys do not want to compete.
That's right.
They cannot win if they have to compete on a level playing field. So they use their connections and their cronies in government to move the playing field up for them and harder for the mom and pop shop.
And
Yeah.
they do that by low voter turnout.
Yep.
In Surfside Beach, over 30% of the people voted. They were distraught. They wanted 20% to vote.
Yeah.
They wanted 18% to vote. Because when only 18% to vote, That's their buddies that all show up
Right.
to vote.
Yeah.
What we're going to get in Horry County is high voter turnout. We're going to have it, guys, and we're going to create capitalism in our county. And hey, John Peterson, all you communists, Mark Lazarus, it's over. It's
Well,
over.
It's not yet, and that's why one
It's
point I
going to
wanted
be
make.
come June, when these county councilmen have to face the fire
Yep.
in June. Wait.
Well, back to Surfside for a second. This is one thing I think I mentioned on my video last week, but it's worth repeating. It's that great victory, right? But nothing has actually changed yet. You've got to stay on these guys now that they're in office and make sure they're still resident focused, not tomorrow, not 6 months from now, but 2 years from now, that they don't start creeping back to the other side. It still allows with the residents to hold them in check and hold them accountable.
Well, here's an example. This hospitality agreement.
Yeah.
On December the 10th, a new mayor gets sworn in, 3 new councilmen get,
Yep.
all new. They had to meet yesterday. It was urgent they met
Right.
to
Yeah.
discuss this hospitality thing. Why? Why not let the next guys look at it?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
why?
It's control.
Well,
again.
and so that's a great point, because we got one last topic we wanted to discuss, was this thing in Hilton Head, where basically the Chamber of Commerce, as in Myrtle Beach, as in Charleston, as in a lot of other counties, is the only organization that is designated to market
right.
that area, right? So in Hilton Head Chamber of Commerce, like the Myrtle Beach Chamber of Commerce, is the only, talk about no competition.
Exactly.
They get taxpayer money
Yep.
to be and they get a monopoly
Yep.
to completely dominate the marketing of these areas. Now, David, I'll say this before we even get down the road, because you got all the details. But Seth, I will tell you, taxpayer or government marketing, tourism marketing, has been a proven failure
It's a disaster.
at
It's
all
joke.
forever.
More friends of government getting
That's right.
the handout.
Exactly.
That's right. And you've documented this over a decade in Myrtle
Right.
Beach. But in Hilton Head, a decision was made, apparently by the county council there,
City
that
council, right?
No, it was county. It was
County-
Beaufort,
Beaufort County
Okay,
Council.
okay.
So Beaufort County Council says, hey, wait a minute. Maybe the Hilton Head Chamber of Commerce isn't the only marketing organization that we need or want.
Right.
And we're going to be now. Again, the premise that I have is none of these marketing organizations work.
Right.
No taxpayer-funded marketing, tourism marketing organization has ever worked in the history of mankind.
Right.
And no one in government wants to hold them accountable. Isn't that what's
But
weird?
that's the
But now
kicker.
Beaufort is now. Beaufort, Mike Covington and a few others sent them some requests for documents, simple documents,
Right.
like this. What are you doing with our money?
Right.
Simple.
We're sending you millions and millions of dollars
Well,
every year.
well, hey.
Show us what you're doing
So
with this.
Bill Miles.
Nope, can't do that.
Bill Miles, the CEO of the Hilton Head Chamber, said, whoa, we're a private organization that happens to be 90% tax funded,
Right.
but we're private. We don't have to give you this documentation. And guess what the Beaufort County government said? Good, then we don't have to give you this money.
Right.
We can put it out for bids.
Right.
It's called competition. For the last 30 years, these people have had something called a monopoly.
Well, look, here's what they don't want to show. They don't want to show what they're doing with that money because they're not doing very much with
Right.
it. And that's
They're
true.
handing it out
To their
amongst
buddies.
their
That's what they're doing.
cronies.
Right.
Just
Good
like them.
grief.
Right.
Otherwise,
Well,
they'd
we
be
saw-
turning over the documents.
Yes.
And we saw, you reported on this, I think last year, or maybe it was earlier this year, that the Myrtle Beach Chamber was giving no bid contracts to one of
They
Greg
created-
Right.
Hembry's daughter,
They
state
create-
senator in Horry County, getting a no bid contract for a marketing,
Please
whatever she was doing. Who knows? I mean,
Please understand
probably
it.
nothing.
Please understand this, Dave. We're not talking about a lot of money. The Myrtle Beach Area Chamber only gets $50 million a
Yeah,
year
only.
in tax
Okay.
grants. And they're handing it out to 11 corporations they created.
So hold on, let me see if I can synthesize this for real fast. The politicians create a monopoly for these chambers of commerce and marketing organizations, and they don't have to report how they spend their money, and then we find out by chance that the money's getting funneled to one of their family members.
11. All 50 million primarily is going to 11 businesses that, guess what?
We're on the
The
wrong side of
former
this gig.
CEO of the president of the Chamber of Commerce created. Many of the people who run these CEOs or of these organizations worked inside the chamber.
Yeah.
We're talking about Bill
Well, and
Rosenthal. We're
are
talk-
literally related to politicians.
and they're getting $6-7 million of tax money to do chamber work.
Yeah.
We don't know what the work is. We can't see the numbers. We can't even see the web stats to see if the numbers work. Why? Because of a law, a Supreme Court decision. Kay Hearn's Miss Myrtle Beach. She's a Supreme Court justice. She went through legal tricks, her and Few, another Supreme Court justice, South Carolina Supreme, they went through legal tricks to make sure that we, the residents, that we, the media, could not see the chamber's data.
Yep.
And you know what? They call it their secret sauce. It would give away our secret. What's your secret? You don't work. That's your secret. You don't work.
So just to circle back, Beaufort County and what happened in Hilton Head could be a serious disruptor statewide.
Should be. Not could be.
Yeah.
All of these municipalities, Horry County Council gives the Myrtle Beach Chamber over $1 million. Surfside gives them 300 and some thousand. North Myrtle Beach gives them a ton.
Yeah.
They parasite the North Myrtle Beach name.
Well, let's be clear. When you say we, the taxpayers are giving them this money.
We are. And all those funds need to be put out for bids. The Myrtle Beach Area Chamber is supported by a city tourist development fee tax, which Alan Clemens and Luke Rankin got passed. It's $24 million of the $50 million.
Yeah.
Keep that. Do whatever socialist thing you want to do with that. But as far as all of this other money's coming to you from outside the area, let's look at that. That's $26 million.
And just to go back to my original premise in this conversation,
It's
which
all
is
terrible.
none of this money actually helps us as South Carolinians. I mean, you can look at every study in the history of all of these tourism, government
it
tourism
doesn't help
studies.
Myrtle Beach.
The locals hate the tourists. The locals hate the tourists.
Well,
Hey, no,
I'm
no,
not
no.
even-
It doesn't bring in new tourists.
That's what I'm saying.
Myrtle Beach has had 3 successive years of down tourism, and the chamber's getting $50 million in tax subsidies. Come on, guys. You know why Myrtle Beach is having 3 successive years of down business? Because the brand stinks.
That secret sauce
It's
ain't
a
working.
horrible brand.
Secret sauce ain't working.
No, the brand stinks because there's heavy crime.
Yes.
And
bad
people
government.
And people don't want to come to criminal-infested tourism areas
Exactly.
to spend their hard-earned money. Right. And that's why, I mean, the bad brand, I mean, it's because, there's people literally shooting each other in the streets in Myrtle Beach.
Because what David says all the time is that instead of spending money on police, instead of fixing the sewer system, instead of fixing the beaches, which are poison, instead they want to market themselves. But you come once, you ain't going to come back.
Yeah.
Well, ask Toys R Us. How much more money should they have spent in advertising? Ask Pontiac. Ask any of these horrible brands, Kmart. How much more should you have spent? You had a terrible brand. No one wanted to buy your stuff. Would more advertising dollars have helped?
And here's the thing, and we got to wrap it up here, guys, but the bottom line is that this is all under the guise of our state and local politicians. All of this waste, all of this fraud, all of this abuse is going on right under their nose. There are very few of them, if any at all, that are caring to do anything about it.
Yep.
Right.
And that really stems from y'all. We need to get more involved.
Yep.
We need to be more engaged. We need to be more active. And I think going back to where we started, Thanksgiving, I am thankful for y'all out there who are watching us every week, who are taking action, who are texting, who are emailing, who are calling your politicians and holding them to account for this corruption and for this illegal behavior. Because at the end of the day, it is up to us to take control of our government, Seth. I mean, that is the bottom line. If left to their own devices, these state and local politicians are going to continue to act in this manner. They're going to continue to use our money to benefit and get rich on our backs. And so it's up to us to put an end to it. And I know that sounds daunting, but it is what
we're doing. It
is what
we are actually doing it.
It is what the founders demanded, and is what y'all are doing at home. And I am very thankful for that. And this, David, as you suggested, this movement is building. We are growing as an organization. You are growing. You're seeing the fruits of the labor out there in the Surfside Beach election. You're seeing Horry County change. We're seeing a lot of things change on the state level. So thank y'all for doing what you're doing out there, and keep at it, because if you don't, then we can expect the same old, same old.
Well, piggyback off that, being thankful for people being able to step up and actually try to change their government. We have a good friend of our organization, Harry Kibler, who is a great guy, a patriot, a guy who fights for the local level, the state level. He had a medical procedure today. Just got word he's come out safely.
Oh,
He's
good.
doing well, so I'm
Awesome.
also thankful for that. So,
Praise
Harry,
God.
get well.
Get better, Harry. We need you.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Hey, and guys, I'm so thankful for Horry County. You guys have really started to gravitate towards what I think is a strong thing, the Freedom Action Network. You're getting it. You're getting informed and you're responding. Listen, we can overcome this. Everybody says, well, they've got all the money. For now, they do. But as we begin to remove one piece after another,
Yep.
the whole teeter-totter is starting to do
Yep.
this. And you guys have all the votes. You have all the power. All you have to do is step up to the plate.
Yep.
They will listen to you. They will listen to you because you are what's important
Yep.
in Horry County. Thank you for watching this program. Thank you for supporting these guys. Thank you for reading what we write. I really appreciate you guys more than you could know.
All right, y'all. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to each of you, and stay vigilant.
There you go. There you go.
All right, y'all. Thank you.